Hello everyone, welcome to your computer classroom. So I hope all of you are doing well, and as in the previous classes we have started chapter 2 and we are discussing about the types of memory. So let us have a quick revision before moving to the next topic. So in the previous class we have discussed about the different memory units KB, bit, byte, megabyte. Clear? So we have already also given you example that if you compare with the library books, so how much data can be accommodated in using these types of measurement units for the memory. After that, in the types of memory, we have seen that the primary memory is of two types. That one is volatile and another is non-volatile. So in volatile, we have seen the type of memory in which the contents are lost or are erased. So those types of memory are called as volatile memory. And in the non-volatile memory, we have already covered that the type of memory in which even after the power is off, the contents will not be deleted. Clear? So this is the difference between volatile and non-volatile memory. And on the basis of this volatile and non-volatile, we have seen the primary memory is classified in two types. One is RAM and another is ROM. So RAM is a type which is volatile and ROM is a type which is non-volatile. So in the previous class we have gone through the RAM, what exactly RAM is, and after that we have also seen that the different types of RAM. Clear? So in the RAM we have seen that how the contents will be copied from the hard disk to the RAM chip. Then again, if you are opening any browser, any windows, so all of those first are transferred from hard disk to your RAM and then it is displayed on the monitor screen. Clear? So this we have seen. After that we have seen the different types of RAM. So in the last class we have covered the three types of the RAM, that is dynamic, static and magnetoresistive RAM. Clear? So this we have covered. Then also we have covered the memory module. So memory module is of two types. One is single inline memory module and another is dual inline memory module, that is DIMM. Clear? And in that we have seen that SIMM is either of 30 or 72 pins, and in the dual inline memory module we have covered that it is of 168 pin. Clear? And also we have seen what are the requirements of the RAM. So what exactly is the requirement of RAM? The more the RAM will be, the size of the RAM is bigger, so the computer will be, you can say it will respond more quickly. Clear? So the faster the RAM, more the RAM, the computer respond faster. Clear? As you can see here also, we have covered the different types of RAM as well as the RAM requirement. If I show you this in a one place, so we have already covered the, okay, let me, okay, so we have seen that memory is of three types, that is primary, secondary and cache memory. Clear? And in the primary memory we have till now we have covered the RAM and its types. The three types we have seen: static, dynamic and one more, that is magnetoresistive. Clear? Magnetoresistive. So this three types of RAM we have covered, and today we are going to start about the ROM. Clear? So in the today's class we are going to study about the ROM and the different types of ROM. Okay, so let us come to the textbook and start our next topic, that is ROM and the different types. So I hope you are reading these things from the book as well and learning new things. Okay, so ROM is the read-only memory and RAM was random access memory. Clear? So the full form is also a one difference. If there is a question that what is the difference between RAM and ROM, so then you can write that RAM is random access memory and ROM is read-only memory. And one more feature we have already covered, that is volatile and non-volatile nature of the different devices. Like RAM is volatile and ROM is non-volatile. So let us see now. So RAM refers to the memory chips used for storing data that can be read only. Clear? So as the name itself, it is there that it is only read only. So what does it mean by read only? Read only actually means that in that we will not be able to write the data again and again. Once it is programmed, we can use the ROM chip again and again. Okay. Next is the data on the ROM chips cannot be modified. Clear? Hence the name read only memory. As I was saying that whatever the thing which is saved in the ROM, this will not be deleted again and again. Clear? So because of this it will be called as read only memory. By the name itself, the read only memory means uh, the data or the contents of the ROM will not be deleted again and again, but can be we can read it again and again, but it can't be written again and again. Clear? So this is the two operation, that is read and write. So and also ROM is non-volatile. So non-volatile we have covered. Its contents are not lost when the computer is switched off. Clear? So the two things, the two properties of the ROM are, first is that the ROM chips cannot be modified and you can use the ROM for storing the data which can be read only. Clear? And second feature is the non-volatile nature. It means that its contents are not lost when the computer is switched off. Okay. Moving further, ROM chips cannot contain data. ROM chips contain data, instructions, or information that is recorded permanently. Clear? In the case of RAM, we have seen that all the things were deleted, but in the ROM, whatever the data we are saving, they will be present in the ROM for always. For always means it will not be deleted. Clear? For example, ROM contains the basic input output system, that is BIOS. BIOS is a part of the computer. We will see that what is the work of BIOS. So for let us read this again. So ROM contains the basic input output system, that is BIOS, which is a sequence of instructions the computer follows to load the operating system and other files when you first turn on the computer. So what exactly is the BIOS? BIOS is a sequence of instructions that a computer follows to load the operating system and other files when you first turn on the computer. Clear? So whenever we switch on the computer, there are some files which are saved in these ROM chips. Clear? That is the BIOS chip. So what will be its function? It will load some instructions of the operating system, and it also checks that all the hardware which is attached to the computer, they are in fine condition. If there is any problem with any of these devices which are attached like mouse, keyboard, clear, so it will give you a error message. Clear? So all this is a function of what? It is a function of BIOS chip, which is also a ROM. So BIOS means the basic input output system. Let us see further. Many other devices also contain ROM chips. For example, ROM chips in many printers contain data for fonts. Yes, so ROM is not only used in the computer only, it is used in various other electronic devices. For example, here it is given the printer. So why inside a printer? Inside the printer also, whatever the page you are printing, there will be some fonts, the size of font. Clear? So these things are stored in these ROM chips. Not only the printer only, there are all, if you take any of the example of most of the electronic devices like refrigerator, washing machine. Clear? So in these types of devices also there are some embedded chips which are pre-installed in these devices, and the function of that is to regulate and automate the different process. Clear? So these things are also a type of ROM. Manufacturers of ROM chips often record the data, instructions or information on the chips when they manufacture them. These ROM chips are also called firmware. Clear? So as I was talking about that the different electronic devices like oven, washing machine, refrigerator, your smart watches, clear? So all these electronic devices have some embedded coded you can say programs, as it is written that these ROM chips often record the data instruction or information on the chips when they manufacture them. So when all of these devices are made, at the time of their manufacturing only, these chips are installed in these devices, and they function, and the device work according to the program which is embedded in those chips, and that is why they are also called as firmware. Clear? So ROM chips are also called as firmware. Not only in the computer, we can find it in many of the electronic devices. Okay, so now we have seen that what is ROM and what are its names, what are its features, and the different examples where we can see the ROM. So where we can see ROM, the example if we talk about, we can find it in the BIOS chip of the computer, then the various electronic devices, in the printers, refrigerator, clear, washing machine. So in all of these devices, as it is pre-installed and pre-programmed, they are also called as firmware. Okay, and the basic feature of the ROM chip is that they read only and non-volatile in nature. It means the contents will not be deleted. Now let us see some of the variations of the ROM chips. Variation means you can say the examples of the ROM chips. Okay, so let us erase this page first and move to the examples, or you can say the different types of the ROM chips. So ROM chips are basically of three types. One is PROM, EPROM and double EPROM. So one by one let us see. First is the PROM, that is programmable read-only memory. I have told you again and again that keep writing the important abbreviations. It will be easy for you to remember, and also good for you to know the different terms. This will be used in the examination point of view also, and for your knowledge also. So PROM is the programmable read-only memory, and this chip is a blank ROM chip on which you can place items permanently. Clear? So as the name itself, it is programmable read-only memory. So the ROM chip which can be programmed, and you can program it once and you can use it again and again. So programmers use microcode instructions to program a PROM chip. Clear? So the programming for the PROM chip is done using the microcode instructions. What are microcode instructions? These are, you can say, the programming of some few microcodes which are uh, very essential for working of these devices. Only when they are programmed, then they will be able to control the device. The if it is oven, then in that there will be some temperature regulation. Clear? Then the timing, the timer which is set. So all these types of programming can be done using these microcode chips, and when a programmer will program, then only it can be installed. After programming, only these PROMs are installed on these devices. Clear? Next is EPROM. So EPROM stands for Erasable Programmable ROM. Erasable Programmable ROM. So let us see what is this. So EPROM is another type of ROM on which its contents are erased by ultraviolet light and then reprogrammed by a RPROM program. Clear? So the basic definition we have seen that the PROM can be written once and we can read it again and again. But these new forms of the EPROM is that in which the contents can be erased using the ultraviolet light. Clear? So using the ultraviolet light, we can erase the content of these EPROM, and again we can reprogram. Clear? So this is the variation of the ROM in which the contents can be deleted also, but the deleting mechanism will be something unique, that is using the UV light, that is ultraviolet light, and again it will be reprogrammed. So this is the method to use the ROM for more than once. Once it is programmed, so if you want to modify the contents of that, so for that you will use the ultraviolet lights, and when the contents are deleted, then we can reprogram it using the different programming method. Next is the double EPROM. So first was the erasable, first was the PROM, second we have seen the erasable programmable ROM, and third one is the electrically erasable programmable ROM. Clear? So here the method of deleting the program is electricity. Let us see. Double EPROM is another variation of PROM chips which allows a programmer to erase the microcode with an electric signal. Clear? So in the case of EPROM, whatever the contents which we are deleting, that was using the ultraviolet light, but in the case of double EPROM, we are erasing the code with using the electric signal. So this is the difference between EPROM and double EPROM. In EPROM, the contents are deleted using the ultraviolet light, and but in the case of EPROM, the contents are being deleted using the electricity or the electric signal. Clear? So these are the three types of ROM chips, and the variations also we have seen. That what is the difference? The difference is that in the PROM it will be programmed once and used again and again. In the erasable, we can erase the ROM using the ultraviolet light and we can reprogram. And in double EPROM, we have seen that in this type of ROM, we can delete the contents using the electric signal. I hope this is clear. And here as also you can see a diagram of the ROM chip, that this looks like these. There are various variations of the ROM chips according to the different devices. The size will change, the you can say the shape of these, then the number of pins on these edges, this will also vary. So depending on the device in which you are going to use these ROM chips, the configuration of these ROM chips changes. Okay, let us erase this and move to the next topic. So now we have seen the two types of primary memory, that is RAM and ROM. Now we are going to see the next type of memory, that is secondary memory. So secondary memory also we have seen few of the things. Let us read it now. So secondary memory is used to store the data for long time. Clear? So in the all of these previous types of memory, that is RAM and ROM, whatever the instructions were saved, they were for temporary time period, you can say. But the secondary memory is also called as storage device, or you can say they are used for storing the data for a long time. Clear? Why it is said that it is used for long time? Because the nature of the material which is used for making the secondary memory is you can say is made such a way that it can store the data for a longer duration of time. It operates at a slower rate than the primary memory. So this is a disadvantage also, that in primary memory the data transfer rate was very quick. Clear? In RAM and ROM, the data transfer was very quickly. The thing which you are accessing from the RAM and ROM, they were fetched from the device to your to the user or to the processor very quickly. But in the secondary memory, they transfer the data slower than the primary memory. Clear? This memory is permanent in nature. Which memory? Secondary memory. And the primary memory was temporary in nature. In the secondary memory, the data is saved permanent, so this is why they are called as permanent in nature. That is, data stored is not lost even when the computer is switched off. Clear? and that is why they are also the non-volatile memory. Why non-volatile memory? Already we know non-volatile means the content will not be deleted when electricity is switched off or when the device is switched off. Clear? So the different features of the secondary memory. First, we have seen that it will store the data for long time. Second, that they are also called as permanent memory or storage memory. And third, we have seen that it is a non-volatile memory. That means the contents will not be deleted when the computer is switched off. Clear? And the another name for the secondary memory is backup memory. Clear? So backup memory, permanent memory, storage memory, these are the different names for the secondary memory. And now the different examples of secondary memory, all of the storage devices like hard disk, CD, pen drive, clear, DVD, Blu-ray disc, these are all examples of the secondary device. Here also you can see hard disk, this is CD-ROM, this is pen drive, flash drive, whatever the name you can say. So all of these storage devices, these are all example of secondary memory. Clear? So why it is called permanent memory? Because the data in these memory will be saved permanently and will not be deleted. Clear? So because of this quality of these memory, these are also called as permanent memory, non-volatile memory, also backup memory. So these are the different names for the secondary memory. Okay, so till now we have seen, okay, let us come again on this. So till now we have seen the primary memory and secondary memory. In the primary memory we have covered the RAM types, that is static, dynamic and magnetoresistive. In the ROM we have covered the PROM, EPROM and double EPROM. Clear? Full form of PROM is programmable read-only memory. EPROM is, yes, guess it once. The full form of EPROM is erasable programmable read-only memory. And the nature of the EPROM is that the contents are deleted using the UV light, that is ultraviolet light. Clear? This is the feature of EPROM. Now comes the double EPROM. In double EPROM, what we have seen, the full form of double EPROM is electrically erasable programmable read-only memory, and in this the contents are deleted using the electric signals. Clear? So electricity is deleting the content of these ROM chips, you can say. Clear? So this way we have covered the primary memory with two types, RAM and ROM. In the secondary memory we have just seen any of the storage devices like hard disk, magnetic disk, CD, DVD, zip disk. Zip disk is also a type of storage devices. Then flash drive, pen drive. So these are all the examples of secondary memory. Now we are going to see what is cache memory. Okay, so let us see what is cache memory. Coming to the textbook. Okay, let us erase this once. Okay, so now coming to the next topic, that is cache memory. Let us see. So cache is a temporary storage area for instructions and data that enhance the CPU speed. So what is the cache memory? Cache memory is the temporary storage area where the instructions and the data are saved for very temporary time period, you can say. And the main nature of this cache memory is that it increases the CPU speed. Why? Because it increases the CPU speed. So because of this they are used, you can say, with and attached with the processor. Instead, along with the RAM and ROM, the cache memory is also used for the temporary storage to increase the processing speed or the CPU speed. Okay, most of the today's computer improves their processing time with the cache. Clear? So in all of the modern computers, the laptops, clear, we are using this cache memory. Memory cache improves the processing speed of the computer. Let me take the marker. Memory cache improves the processing speed of the computer because it stores frequently used instructions and the data. Clear? So whatever the data, or if you are working on any of the file, so the important things which is required again and again or frequently used data, so they are present in the cache memory. And when you will fetch it again and again, so if it will be in the hard disk or in some other storage unit, it will take more time to transfer the data. So to minimize these time, we use the cache memory. So whatever the data you are using frequently, it will be available to you within very fraction of second. Clear? And you will not be able to you can say find the delay in the transfer. So it is so much fast. Cache is built directly in the processor chip. So inside the processor chip only these cache memory are present. Clear? So along with the processor only these caches are attached, and then it will take less time. When the processor needs an instructions or the data, it first searches the cache. So see, whenever you are processing something, clear? So the CPU, processor is also called as CPU. So this processor or the CPU will first search the data in the cache. Only if it is doesn't locate the item in the cache, then it searches RAM. Clear? So here we can see that suppose this is the processor. Clear? And processor has the cache along with it. Clear? So the first function of the processor will that it will search the thing in the cache memory. Clear? And if the data is not found in the cache memory, then it will go to the RAM. Clear? So you can see here that to transfer the data from the RAM, it will even take some time. And if the data will be present in the cache only, then very quickly the data will be available to the processor. Clear? If the instructions or the data is not found in the memory, that is RAM also, then it must searches the lower speed storage devices such as hard disk or CD-ROM. Clear? Let us add this also. If the data will not be searched in the RAM also, now it will be searched in the hard disk. Hard disk, that is the secondary storage devices. So all of these are slower devices also. All of the previous one, that is the primary memory, that is the RAM and ROM, as well as the cache memory, these are very fast, you can say the memory devices in which the data transfer rate is very quick. But in the case of hard disk, it will take more time to transfer the data. So as the book is also showing, and I am explaining you that the processor, this one is, let me make this little bit more clear. Okay, so here as I was saying that this is the processor, and the processor, whatever the process we are performing on the computer, that is done by the processor, that is CPU, and cache is attached along with the processor. Clear? So the processor will search all the instruction first in the cache memory. When it is not found in the cache, then it will go to the RAM. Clear? And when the data is not present in the RAM also, then it will go to the secondary storage devices, that it may be any of these like hard disk, optical disk, pen drive if it is attached. So all of these are the secondary storage devices and slower. So this way the speed also vary. If the data will be present in the cache memory only, then the instructions or the processing will be done very quick. Clear? So this way we have seen the path of the data transfer, that how it checks from the cache, then RAM, then the hard disk. Okay, let us read this again. So we have seen that the RAM, after the data is not found in the memory, then it searches in the lower speed storage devices such as hard disk or the CD-ROM. Most modern computers have three types of or layers of the memory cache, that is level 1, level 2 and level 3. Now this cache memory about which we are talking about, so this cache memories have three levels also, like the level 1, level 2 and level 3. So that is the, you can say, the three levels, or the the numbers of the cache memory will be three. That is, one will be level 1, which will be more closer to the processor than level 2, and then level 3. So this way the data will be made available to the processor very quickly. So now we have covered the all the three types of memory, that is primary memory, secondary memory, and cache memory. And this way we have also completed the chapter as well. Let us erase this. So from the coming days, what will be the homework for today? You can do the tick the correct option questions, full forms, and these till fifth question also. Yes, you can try question number 1 to 5, and complete this first in the book itself. And when we will discuss these questions in the next class, so after that it will be when the answers will be confirmed, and you will get it correct, and if there is any mistake, you can correct as well. So after that only you will write these in the copies. So before that, try from question number 1 to 5, that is tick the correct answer, full forms, then complete the following. These are very easy questions also, and as we have covered almost all of these while explaining the chapter, so you will find it very easy to complete. Clear? So revise the different abbreviations and different types of memory which we have covered, and whenever there is a confusion, you can pause the video and watch it, that area again. And if still you have doubts, we will take all those questions in the coming live session. Okay, so till then, keep reading, learning, and enjoying. Okay, thank you class.